Hello, everybody. My name is Echo, and I am back from the dead. It has been almost an entire year since I last uploaded a video. So, without further ado, because I don't really like to pad out my runtime, let's get right into this video. This is a basic guide on how rocket launchers work. I'll be covering a bit more of the advanced tactics and techniques and builds and shit like that with the rockets. I said tactics and techniques. There aren't really. You shoot the rocket, but I'll show you how to build craft the weapons in a later video because there's a lot more intricate details that I want to go over there, and I still haven't had a chance to test. So, without further ado, once again, how do rockets work? Rocket launchers deal two types of damage when you shoot it: impact and blast damage. Now, normally that doesn't seem too important. Okay, it just deals the damage, whatever. It is very important because if you miss your rocket on a boss, which of course you should be using for boss DPS, that's the current DPS meta, that's kind of why they're so big and important. And if you're trying to use a rocket launcher for ad clear, don't. Grenade launcher works a lot better. It's got extra ammo, and really that's about it. You don't need all the damage that a rocket launcher has, so just have a grenade launcher. Anyways, back on track. The reason impact and blast damage are important is for you to actually get impact damage, you need to hit directly with the rocket. So you need to hit whatever boss you're shooting at with that rocket. You'll get the impact damage, and the blast damage will hit it anyways. And another important thing to note is that the higher the blast damage stat is, the less overall damage you're going to have, because it takes away from the impact damage and spreads it out throughout the blast radius. And another very important thing to note is the reason rocket launchers are so good right now is because of Gjallarhorn's Wolfpack Rounds perk. One of the things that makes Gjallarhorn so unique is that when you fire the rocket, it hits the boss, you do the impact and the blast damage, but then it splits off into multiple tracking cluster missiles, which then deal more damage. And if that sounds cool, just you fucking wait till I say this part if you didn't know it already. If you already know it, you know what's coming. Once you fire that first Gjallarhorn shot, it also grants your allies that are running rocket launchers Wolfpack rounds. So now everybody in the fire team that is running a rocket launcher gets those Wolfpack rounds for a certain amount of time. I think it's about 15 seconds or something like that. So essentially, if you have one Gjallarhorn and 5 rocket launchers, you have 6 rocket launchers with Wolfpack rounds. It's crazy damage, but that's why they're good at the moment. And another thing to note about Wolfpack rounds is that certain damage perks do buff the damage of Wolfpack rounds. I will cover that in the advanced guide. I need to do a little bit more testing, and I just kind of want to go over the basics on what's a good rocket launcher, what perks are good, and what frames are good. Now that we've got the basics of how rockets work and why they are good, we can go over the different types of rocket launchers. There are 4 frames of rocket launchers: precision, high impact, adaptive, and aggressive. Some of them do more damage, some of them do less damage, and some of them do the exact same amount of damage. And between all of those frames, here are the damage numbers I pulled when I tested it. The numbers aren't super specific because light levels were kind of all over the place, but it gives you a general view of what does the most damage and what does the least. Now, starting off with the worst one in the entire category is the precision frame. It does the least amount of damage, but it tracks. It's cool, I guess. I don't know. Don't use it. They're useless. Anyways, moving on to the next one is the high impact frame. When I was testing this, I got about 80,000 total damage, which was a little bit under the 88,000 from the adaptives and the aggressives, but high impacts are still very good. It's not that much less damage. It's about 8k less. But high impacts are still good depending on what role you have, or if you don't have a better one. Like, for example, Roar of the Bear, one of the best demo rockets at the moment, because it has Demolitionist and Lasting Impression. Now, and the reason Demolitionist is so good right now is because Warlocks, with their Starfire nades and all that fun stuff. I will get into Demolitionist later, though. So, moving on, we have the adaptive and the aggressive frames. They are exactly the same. The only thing different I can really find is the RPM, which doesn't matter because it's a rocket launcher. It holds 1 rocket. And before someone goes, ooh, clown cartridge, or even ambitious assassin, congratulations, that's 2 rockets. Nobody gives a shit. It doesn't matter. And for some reason, everyone I talk to seems to think adaptive frames are worse than aggressives. I don't know where that came from. Can somebody please tell me? I'm losing my mind. Everybody seems to think adaptives are worse than aggressives. I thought that until I tested it. And I'm like, wait a second. They're literally the same. Their blast radius is the same. Their impact stat, I don't know about impact. I wasn't paying attention to that. But their damage and blast radius are the same at base level. I don't understand. I really don't. Anyways, moving on. There's some good rocket launchers. I'll just pop them up on screen, I guess. Here you go. Boom. I don't really feel like writing a script for it. Look at them. I'll go over it in a different video. Who knows? Now, moving on to what these rocket launchers can roll with. We'll start off with the boring ones. you're going to want hard launch and impact casing. Now, keep in mind, these are not make or breaks. Hard launch is nice because it decreases the blast radius. Impact casing increases impact damage by about 10%, which increases overall damage by about 2.2%. It's not massive. Like I said, it's not a make or break. As long as you don't have anything that is increasing the blast radius, you should be good. And even then, if you have something that increases the blast radius, not necessarily make or break, as long as you have good damage and reload perks. Moving on, those are the boring ones. We'll move on to the damage perks, since those are fairly simple. There's 3 very good damage perks for rockets at the moment. We have Frenzy, Explosive Light, and Lasting Impression. Once again, I'll put the stats on the screen right here, because I don't want to go over all the numbers. And yet, before anybody says it, yes, I know these numbers are a lot higher than my previous ones without any damage perks, by like almost double. And that's because the weapons I was testing without damage perks were 1600 light level versus the ones I tested with the damage perks are closer to 1810. So their light level was just higher. That's why they're doing more damage. Once again, don't pay too much attention to the numbers. The only reason I put the numbers up there is so you can compare them with the other damage perks. Frenzy is a damage perk that procs when you're in combat. It increases reload speed, handling, and damage by 15%. It is very, very nice for DPS. Next one on the list is the Lasting Impression. It increases the blast radius, but also increases blast damage. So it decreases the impact damage, but it increases blast damage by a substantial amount. It is technically a little bit better than Frenzy, but you don't get all the other buffs that Frenzy has, and also Lasting takes 3 seconds for the rocket to explode. Oh yeah, I didn't mention that part, did I? How Lasting Impression works, you shoot the rocket sticks to a target, either a person or whatever fucking wall you hit. Takes 3 seconds to explode, and then it explodes, dealing massive damage. Like I said, it does a little bit more damage than Frenzy does, but it also has that drawback of taking a little bit longer, and also there's other reasons why you'd use Frenzy instead, but I'm not even going to cover them in this video. Now, the last perk is easily the best one. It is Explosive Light. Picking up Orbs of Light gives you stacks of Explosive Light, and then when you fire a rocket, it deals increased damage and consumes 1 stack of Explosive Light. You can hold up to 5 stacks, if I remember correctly, and if you craft Explosive Light on a rocket launcher, the Enhanced perk will allow you to have 6 stacks. Now, if you're just running a rocket launcher, you're the only one running that rocket, there is no galley or anything else to take into account, then Explosive Light is the best DPS perk. Oh, and actually, I'm kind of post-editing, putting this one in here, splicing it right into the middle of the video of the damage perks, is Chill Clip. I completely forgot about Chill Clip. It is very, very good when you're running Gallowhorn. How Chill Clip works is the top half of the magazine. It applies slow to enemies if you fire a shot from the top half of the magazine. Rockets only have 1 shot, so they always have Chill Clip up. Wolfpack rounds reproc the slow, so essentially how it works, you fire a rocket and you will freeze and shatter a boss about 2 or 3 times. It deals crazy damage, but you only need 1 on a team. 2 people with Chill Clip is redundant. So the ideal setup right now is Gallowhorn, 1 Chill Clip rocket, and then the rest of the rockets all have damage perks on them. Now, this is the fun one, the reload perks. Damage perks, they're pretty straightforward. You deal damage. But reload perks are where you really get interesting. There are 4 of them I'm going to be going over. Field Prep, Autoloading, Overflow, and Demolitionist. So, starting off, Field Prep, this is kind of the go-to. It increases the inventory size. So, basically, you can hold more rockets in reserve. Plus, when you crouch, you get plus 50 reload speed. And if you craft it on a craftable rocket, the enhanced perk grants plus 40 inventory instead of plus 30. Now, on to the next one is autoloading. The only downside to autoloading is you don't get the extra inventory that Field Prep has. Autoloading is pretty simple. You put it away, and after 2.5 seconds, it reloads the weapon. So, and the enhanced perk reduces it to 2.3 seconds instead, which is kind of nice. Autoloading is super good if you're hot swapping with something like, for, say, Izanagi's Burdens, or not Witherhoard. You don't really need a hot swap with Witherhoard. You can kind of just shoot it on, and Witherhoard usually lasts an entire boss phase. Maybe you have to re-hit the boss with it towards the end of it, but for the most part, Witherhoard will last the whole boss phase. Now, Demolitionist is the next one I'm going to go over. Demolitionist is very, very nice with Starfire Warlock, because how it works, you throw a grenade and it reloads your weapon. So you don't have to reload the rockets. And if you are a Starfire Warlock, what you can do is you can hit the boss with Witherhoard while you're sitting in that well, get that damage tick, get those fusion nades constantly regenning. So what you do is you fire a rocket, throw a grenade, fire a rocket, throw a grenade, fire a rocket, throw a grenade, and you can pretty much just cycle the 2 until the damage phase or the well is up. And the 4th perk I was going over is, this one's honestly kind of a pity one, is just Overflow. What happens when you pick up special or heavy? It refills to 200% capacity, which means you get 2 rockets in the mag. So you can pull it out, fire 2 rockets, and then you do damage like normal. Nothing special, nothing crazy. Like I said, it's kind of a pity one because it's on He's in Vengeance, and it's a default on He's in Vengeance, so I see it a lot on those rockets. So that was the basic guide to rocket launchers. I'm going to be doing some more testing. Now, I did discover that certain damage perks, like, for example, Frenzy, can buff the damage of Wolfpack rounds. That is something I want to test a little bit more. I didn't have a chance to before I got this video out, so I'm going to be making a second video on Wolfpack rounds, and then I think I'm also going to make another video on current rocket launchers you can get and how to obtain them, because there are a lot of really good rocket launchers out there, and you can't obtain some of them anymore, which is like, okay, that's cool, I guess.